Okay, I just wanted to make a short video here on how I do beef brisket. It's not the way everyone else does it, but it works for us, and we really like it. So I'm going to show you my rub recipe here, and it's pretty basic. But my rub recipe is a 1/4 cup paprika, a 1/4 cup kosher salt, 1/4 cup ground black pepper, 3 tablespoons garlic powder, 2 tablespoons onion powder, 2 teaspoons dried parsley, 1 teaspoon sugar, and 2 teaspoons sugar, 1 teaspoon oregano. And basically all you do is mix those all together and make a dry rub out of that. And I put it in one of these containers like this so you can shake it out easy over the meat. A lot of guys use one of these containers here. They use a Parmesan container, and these are fine to shake the dry rub out, but they tend to let your rubs, if you let your rubs sit for any period of time, they let your rubs kind of go stale. So I like to try to keep mine sealed up. In these, I put these in a plastic bag to keep them fresh while I'm not, if I don't use all my rub. Typically I use all my rub for the brisket, so I won't need to do that this time. But anyway, I brine my brisket, and I'll include in this video the brine recipe that I use. You don't have to brine it, but I usually brine mine for 48 hours, and then I get the the morning that I'm going to start to smoke, I get up early and rub the meat, get the meat out and let it sit out and get almost to room temperature or at room temperature, and then I dry rub it. So here's what I've done this morning. I did this about an hour ago, so it's sitting here still. It's about time to go on. So, but there's the brisket. The lighting's not real good, but that's the brisket. And so anyway, I'm going to get that on the smoker here. The smoker I use is it's a Char Griller Smokin' Pro. It's the best charcoal grill I can find for the money. Of course, if I had a couple $100 or $1,000, I could get a really nice smoker. But this is what I have, and it works pretty good. And I've done a couple little modifications. I put the pneumatic tires on it just to help it move around the yard a little easier when I want to clean it out and stuff. But other than that, I added my own cedar wood shelves. The shelves that were on there were kind of flimsy, and they were thin, and they weren't real cedar anyway. So I did that. And the other thing I've done, if you can see there, I added the classic dryer vent pipe to get the smoke to fill the top chamber, and make sure the smoke is at great level before it starts heading out of the smoker. Also, I get a couple of these little foil pans and fill it with water. That helps keep the moisture in the smoke while you're going. Other than that, the other thing I added was this extra shelf here. You can buy these from Char Griller, but I work in a machine shop, so me and a couple other guys just made a couple of them to put on our own grills, and they work great for a pot of beans or something like that if you're doing that kind of stuff. But it's February 21st, so it's still cold, but we're gonna try to do a brisket, and it might take a little longer because of the cold weather. We're supposed to get some freezing rain and stuff like that today, so we'll see how it goes. But the other thing I have to help me in the cold weather anyway is this. It's a Maverick Ready Check. It's wireless. I can carry this around the house with me, keep me in the house, and that'll tell me what my food temperature is at and what the smoker temperature is at. And once my smoker temperature gets up to 250 or so, I'll put the meat on, and then the food temperature I just have hanging there until I get the meat on. So, and then the other thing I use is just a regular old simple instant read thermometer there. So anyway, I'll get back to you here whenever I get the meat on the grill. Okay, I got the meat on the grill here, and it's all rubbed down. This is the fat side up. I always put the fat side up so it can marinate the meat as it cooks. I trim my fat down to between like a 1/4 inch and a 1/2 inch. I don't like much more fat on mine. And this will be a 10 to 12 hour smoke, I would imagine. So usually, most of the fat is rendered down. I still have a little bit here and there. So anyway, that's what I do. And then after I put it on, I freshen up the rub on the top a little bit. A lot of guys don't do this because of the fat. They say it's not getting to the meat anyway, but I find that it kind of, as the fat renders down in the cook, the rub does get to the meat. So anyway, it's on the grill. It's about 7:30 or so in the morning, so we'll be eating late tonight. But anyway, grill got up to about 250. And I got the meat on, so I'll check back in as we check the meat here in about an hour.
Trying to cut frozen sausage. It's not going so well. Oh, I'm gonna go to the next knife. Okay.
Oh, saw knife, huh?
You pushed too hard. Nope, nope. There you go again. Is that really the best you can do?
Okay, it's been a little over an hour, maybe an hour and a half, and since I put the meat on, so I'm going to check it here. And I don't like to leave the lid open too long, but because we're videoing here, I'm going to show you the meat. And there's the brisket, and it looks like the meat temperature is 145 right now, and still got plenty of water in there. And what I like to do is I get one of these squirt bottles here, and I mix half apple cider vinegar and half Worcestershire sauce, and I give it a little bit of a squirt now and again. I do this more often as the meat cooks. The first half of the smoke, it doesn't do a whole lot of help. It doesn't help a whole lot because you still got all that fat on the top that's based in the meat anyway. So, but it does seem to keep the bark a little soft and throughout the smoke. Now I won't spray it within the last 2 hours of the smoke. Just let it smoke out from there. So anyway, looks like the water's good. The meat temperature's coming up fine, so we'll close that back up and stoke the fire a little bit here. Put a couple pieces of wood in. I start with charcoal and then usually go all wood for the rest of the smoke. If I need to leave the smoker for 2 hours or so, I usually use a little bit of charcoal and lay my charcoal out, space them out so one catches and gets the next one lit and all that. So which is pretty common with smoking. So anyway, and I got the air choked down pretty tight, keep the temperature right where I want it. And anyway, so check back in here as I check the meat again. Okay, I'm going to check the meat again. It's been a couple hours since the last check. First thing, the smoker is at 196, so I'm going to stoke the fire a little bit. I like to stay between 220 and 250. So I'm going to stoke that first. Let's take a look at that. Yep, so we'll get some wood in there. I'm going to check the meat. And it's starting to bark up just a little bit. looks pretty good. And I'm going to go ahead and give it a little bit of a squirt here. Just to keep it nice and moist. And I got a couple hours left of water, so I'll close it back up and I'll stoke the fire. And it's been about probably almost 5 hours now since I put the meat on, so we've got a good 6 hours left, I would say, in the smoke. Meat temperature is about 155 or so, so it's coming along. I'll check back in. Okay, it's been, let's see, about 10.5 hours or so, and as you can see, we got a lot of snow today, so it's taken a little longer than I thought it would to smoke, but we're getting there. I like to get brisket. I don't go by temperature as much as I do by feeling, but I haven't looked at the meat for about 3 hours, so I'm going to take a look at the meat now, make sure everything's okay. I'm at about 175. I don't start checking the meat for tenderness with the thermometer until I hit about 180. So anyway, we're going to take a look at it here. The grill's running about 240, 250 right now, so let's take a look. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's got a nice dark bark on it. It's looking really good. It's got moisture all over it, so I think we're doing good. I added water once and I'm out again, so I don't think I'm gonna put any more in for now. But anyway, also I'm using chunk wood, something like that. That and smaller anyway. And I'm using hickory and cherry. I went to my local firewood guy and I asked him if I could have this cut smaller, just so I didn't have to mess with it. So anyway, I got a whole cord of that. It's all hickory and cherry, and it's been seasoned for about a year. So that's what I'm using. Like I said, I start with charcoal to get the grill warmed up, and then I go all wood from there, and I haven't done anything but add wood all day. So we'll check back in here. I'll probably be pulling the meat off here in an hour and a half or so. So check back in then. Okay, here it is. Just pulled it off the grill. I hit about 194 degrees before I thought it was done. And I'll show you real quick how I gauge my brisket to see if it's done. I take my instant read thermometer, and if it goes in with no effort, you don't have to push at all, it almost sinks in itself. That's whenever it's tender and juicy enough. I usually pull it off at that point, so that's what it's doing now. And so I pulled it off. Now I'm gonna wrap it and let it rest for about a half an hour, and then we're gonna eat. It took a little longer than I expected because of the sleet and snow and everything we had today, so it may have taken us, this was almost 14 hours to smoke this. It was a pretty large brisket. I'm not quite sure how big it was, but anyway, so yeah, I'll try to get a little bit of video of slicing it, so I'll be back in about a half an hour. Okay, all I'm doing now is cutting against the grain. This is the point I separated from the flat. The flat's a little dry this time, and it may be because I had such a long smoke on it, I'm not sure. But it does have a lot of moisture in it, I guess. The point has a lot more than the flat does, but anyway, if you can see that, that's pretty moist. Not the best one I've done, but anyway, so we're gonna eat now. It's a little late, but we're gonna go ahead and eat.